What's up, Buttercups? Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is that you are, well, I guess whenever it is that you are watching this. Well, I got good news and I got bad news, but you already heard the good news and you've already heard the bad news, and they're all the same news, that you guys are done for the rest of the year. Yeah? Well, sad. I'm gonna miss you. I know you're gonna miss me. The good news is, I guess you're not at school, because half of you always complain about not being or having to go to school. But anyhow, we're still gonna continue on. We're gonna chug along. We're gonna do a little bit here, do a little bit there. This week you got the same thing as you did last week. You have a DA with some vocab, some questions, and some short answer stuff on it. I don't know what our testing is going to look like. I don't know exactly what we're doing from week to week. I know we'll continue a few more of these. We'll have at least one more of these video lectures next week, and we'll figure something out from there. Please make sure you are going online and hitting the check-in so that I don't have to go back and go a couple weeks later and try and get you and find it and all that. You can still keep your grades up. You can still do well on these. The notes and information page answers everything. I'm not locking the DAs, so you don't have to worry about. You can go back and look at the notes and information, make sure you're getting everything right. All right, so this week we have 16.3. Now, we're still talking about economics. And the one thing, when you talk about economics, you've heard about it in marketing, you've heard all of those types of things. You hear demand and supply, okay? Well, some people like to say supply and demand, and there is a lot of controversy revolving the order of which, but really it comes down to demand and supply. Now, when you talk about demand and supply and you talk about products, the first thing that you have to think about is prices. How many of you have seen the word sale or clearance or $5 off or 25% off? This is all about the prices. Now, prices are the main function when it comes to setting demand and supply, or supply and demand, whichever you prefer. You would probably rather me say supply and demand, but I like to do things different. Demand and supply. Prices are set by a kind of interaction. The interaction is the effect of two forces. That interaction is the effect that demand has on supply, or the effect that supply has on demand. You are seeing this in today's society. You are seeing demand and supply at its finest. And who are we? We are the consumers. Consumers are the people who buy goods and services. And then you have the producers, and these are the people that make the goods and services. Now, demand and supply. Demand is the amount of a good or service that people, the consumers, are willing and able to buy at various prices during a given time period. So, first we talk about demand. This is what you want. What are you able to do? Can you buy it? Now, there's a couple of things. There are 4 parts of that definition. The first of which is the amount. Demand measures how much of a good or service the consumers are willing to buy over a period of time. How much toilet paper are you willing to buy? Okay? Maybe you got a wiping problem. I don't know. But how much of this toilet paper are you willing to buy? Okay? How much specifically are you willing to buy it? Are you willing to buy toilet paper? Or are you willing to maybe just use old newspapers? They had these things back, a few years ago. Sometimes they still show up in the mail, called phone books. Yeah, phone books. And they had names in them and people in them, and you looked up the people's name, alphabetical order. You know, you guys know your alphabet. And these are your consumers. And maybe you could use the newspaper or the phone book for wiping. Or maybe you just are willing to buy toilet paper. Maybe you're not willing to buy toilet paper. How much are you able to buy? Now, during when the toilet paper controversy first began, you couldn't find it, right? You couldn't find any toilet paper. Are you able to buy it? Because people on Amazon, they were charging like buku bucks for toilet paper. And did you have enough money in your pocket to pay for the toilet paper? And what determined whether or not you were able to do this? That was the price. Price, the quantity that consumers are willing and able to buy, is associated with a particular price, whether that price is high or whether that price is low. Now, the next thing that you have is you have supply. What is supply? Supply is the amount of a good or service that producers are willing and able to sell at various prices during a given time period. As the price of a good or service goes up, producers tend to supply more. So if the price goes up, producers then will make more. But if the price goes down, producers will not make more. Because why are they not going to make more? Because they're not selling anymore. Now, markets and competition. Competition. We all know what competition is. Competition is whether or not you are going to buy a Ford or a Chevy, right? Some of you are just going to buy Fords. Some of you are just going to buy Chevys. This is your competition. Now, if you look at your notes, you have a chart in there. And I got the chart pulled up right here. And this chart is going to describe the demand and schedule for crude oil, or the supply schedule for crude oil. Now, right now you're seeing something interesting when it comes to crude oil, because as you know, crude oil determines the price of gas. How much is gas right now? $1.50, right? Low. Now, the demand that you have for crude oil is what well, if you look at the chart, let's just look at this chart. Now, demand schedule for crude oil. Price per barrel, $10. Quantity demanded, 50. As the price goes up, 10, 20, 30, 40, $50, what happens to the quantity demanded? Well, the quantity demanded goes down. Why does the quantity demanded go down? Because people are not willing to pay $50 for a barrel of crude oil. If a barrel of crude oil was $10, people are going to buy the heck out of it. Now, the supply schedule for crude oil. Supply is the same way. Now, price per barrel, $10. If the price per barrel is only $10, I am only going to supply 10 barrels. Why am I only going to supply 10 barrels? Because I'm not making any money. Now, if people were buying the crude oil for $50 a barrel, how many barrels of crude oil am I going to be selling? I'm going to make 50 barrels. Why? Because I'm making that much more money. So what we have to do is we have to find it somewhere in the middle. Okay? You got to put it somewhere in the middle. And this middle price is called the equilibrium price. Now, the demand and supply curves show a market. A market is a place where buyers and sellers of the same goods or services come together. Now, the market many of you guys are using right now is the internet. The internet is a market as well. The market is where you can actually come together to buy it. The stock market. Okay? To be efficient, markets must have competing buyers and sellers. For a market to be efficient, you have to have competition. Because if you don't have competition in your market, then what does this create? If there's no competition, what does it create? Now, you've all heard this word before, but it creates a monopoly. In the United States, are monopolies legal? Anyone? Anyone? Oh, wait, I'm talking to myself. No, monopolies are not legal in the United States. The United States has banned monopolies. Now, how do we set the prices? We set that price via the equilibrium. We set that price on how much are you willing to pay. Okay? And once you determine how much you're willing to pay, then the supplier will determine how much they're willing to sell it for. So if you go back and you look at the chart, you see that the person buying it, the consumer, is willing to pay $30 a barrel. For how many barrels? $30. The person supplying it is willing to sell the barrels, 30 barrels, for $30. Again, puts us in that equilibrium. Now, as consumers would not be willing or able to buy more. This would result in a surplus. Now, if you cannot buy enough, you now have a surplus. If the producer makes more than what he's selling, he has a surplus. A surplus in which the amount supplied by the producer is greater than the amount demanded by consumers. A surplus tends to cause prices to fall. Well, look at the United States right now. In theory, people are not supposed to be driving as much. So are as many people driving and going to work? I know I'm not driving back and forth to California every day. So therefore, I'm not putting as much gas in my cars every day. The oil producer has all of this oil sitting there. And what do they need to do with it? They need to sell it. So for me to buy it, what are they going to have to do to that price? They've lowered that price. Now, what happened when we ran out of toilet paper? What did the people selling toilet paper do to the price? They raised the price of it. Why? Because the demand was high. There was a shortage of toilet paper. It occurs when the quantity demanded is greater than the quantity supplied. The suppliers were not supplying enough, and the demand was high. So what did they do to the prices? They raised them. Markets support our democratic political systems in which citizens vote for candidates they choose. When you shop, your dollars are like votes for goods or services you want to consume. So if there is something in high demand, people will start producing more of it so that they can make more money. Factors affecting demand. Now, several factors affect demand, causing the demand curve to move left or right. Now, when we talk about a demand curve, we talk about it moving left or right. There's going to be another chart pulled up on the board. Bang. And in this chart, the demand curve shifts to the right if consumers leave the market, then fewer people are... hold on. The demand curve shifts to the right if consumers leave the market, then fewer people are available to buy the video games. This change causes the demand curve to move to the left, shown in the bottom right graph. That makes no sense. Stop. If more consumers enter the market, if more people enter the market for some particular item, they buy more of that particular item, and then that demand moves to the right. If consumers leave the market and they're no longer buying that item, then the demand curve moves to the left. It goes up and down depending on people entering the market. That is one thing that affects supply and demand. The consumers. How many people are there selling it? All right, let me see what I got next. Another factor is change in consumer incomes. Okay, change in consumer incomes. If I make more money, what am I likely to do? Buy more stuff. If the nation as a whole is making more money, what is the nation going to do? Buy more stuff. Right now, the nation as a whole is doing what? Making less money. Lots of people are out of jobs. Unemployment is high. So what's going to happen to some of the markets out there? People are going to buy less. How much money do you think restaurants are making right now? Right? I mean, they still can get curbside and you still can get to go. But how many more people actually want to go in and sit down and eat? God knows I do. I desperately want to go in, sit down, eat me some LS Bologna, have some chips and salsa, something like that, right? Or a steak that's cooked by somebody else, or anything, that type of thing. If people earn less, they don't buy as many things. The third factor that affects the demand is the change in consumers' preferences. Let's see here. What do you want to buy? Now, there was this thing back in the old days called a CD. Hold on. Hold on. Cleaned out my closet the other day because I obviously bored. And this is a CD Bible. Look at this thing. You see? Now, I just flipped it here real quick. Let me just keep flipping. Oh, there's a break there. Let's keep going. Some of these have more than one in them. See? Okay. And let's keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. Whoa, shouldn't have seen that one. Keep going. Keep going. Keep going. All right. Oh, wait. Hold on. There's another big old stack of them right there. These are called, let me find you a good one to use as an example. I don't know. You know, like that one. Oh, there's a good one. We can take that one right there. This is called a CD. Shiny. Anyhow, when was the last time you purchased one? I'm waiting. You're waiting? There's probably many of you, a high percentage of you, that never actually purchased a CD. So, how do you buy your music? Oh, wait. Ooh, I got my music now. That's how you buy your music. So how's the demand for CDs went? The demand has gone down. Because people's preferences change. People don't always want to purchase the same things. Factors affecting supply. What can affect supply? There are two key things that affect supply. Well, the number of people making something increases. Let's see. Toilet paper companies. We go back to toilet paper because toilet paper's on my mind. I don't know why toilet paper's on my mind. I don't have a wiping problem. But anyhow, the more toilet paper manufacturers there are, I mean, everybody and their brother would think, hey, I'm going to start making toilet paper, right? Because now I can sell it because everybody wants toilet paper. Well, that can affect supply because if we had more manufacturers, then we would have more suppliers, or vice versa. Maybe manufacturers began going out of business. This will affect supply as well because as manufacturers go out of business, not as many items are being supplied. Now, as manufacturers go out of business and less people make something, what's that going to do to the price? It's going to raise that price. Anything that affects the cost of production. Well, maybe we're making cars and the factory, well, the employees need raises. So if employees need raises, or maybe the equipment that we need to purchase has gone up, the equipment that we're purchasing to manufacture something has gone up, that is going to affect our supply as well because now we have to spend more money on equipment. What are we going to do to our price? We're going to take and we're going to raise our price because we raise what's called our overhead, and we've done it this way. The economic role of prices. In a market economy, prices drive the markets for all goods and service. A market is any setting where goods and services are exchanged for money. This is what a market is. All economic systems answer three basic questions. Every economic system answers three basic questions. 1, what do you produce? 2, how to produce it? And 3, who are you producing it for? This is how it's set. In a market economy, price helps answer these questions. Prices determine what to produce by influencing the decisions of the producers. Prices affect how goods and services are produced. Prices decide for whom goods and services are produced. Price is measured as value. The price of something determines the value of it. If I'm paying $200,000 for a McLaren, that McLaren is always going to be worth a lot of money. McLaren's a fancy car, apparently. I think my son's into cars. Prices send signals to consumers and producers. If consumers thinks an item is priced too high, what are they going to do? Not buy it. If a consumer thinks an item is priced low, what are they going to do? They're going to buy it. A lot of you work at grocery stores, and they are, I don't know of a lot, but some of you work at grocery stores, and what happens when something goes on sale, or if they put something in the ad that's on sale, and they say, we have bananas, 99 cents a pound. What's everybody going to do? They're running to the store and buying bananas. Now, I could go into the kitchen and get you a banana for an example, but here is a banana. Anyhow, the reverse is also true. When consumers cannot find a good or service at the low price they want to pay, then they must recognize that no producer is willing to supply it to them at that price. Well, if I can't find it at this low price that I want, as a consumer, I have to realize, guess what? Maybe I'm just going to have to pay that price. Let's see here. Say you want to go buy a new computer for your upcoming college. You got $250, right? That's all you got, $250. How good a computer are you going to buy for $250? Well, what is the price of a computer? Well, the price of the computer is $450. What do you have to do? Can you just wait around and hope and pray that you're going to get one for $250? No, you're eventually going to end up having to pay the $450. So sometimes the market actually sets that price. Now, in other instances, you can help set the price, because if you continue to not be willing to pay that particular price, what's the producer going to have to do? They might have to lower the price. Command economy. There's a little section in the notes about the command economy. In a command economy, who sets the prices? Government. Who sets how much is produced? Government. Who says what you can buy? Government. Command economy, the government takes complete control of it and does all of those particular settings. Let's see here. Wow. You know, that lecture normally would have taken me, at least 32 minutes, I'm guessing. Maybe even 33. What did I do? 22? Not bad. Love you guys. Hope this was informational. Like I said, just answer the stuff. I'll see if I can post something fun here in the next day or two. Just give you some entertainment. Maybe I'll break out a rule or two. Lesson in life. Good night.